Hey everybody, I am going to try and walk Max by myself with you guys, so not really by myself, and film at the same time. So let's see how this goes. So let me change back over so you can see the walk. This may not go as long just because we'll see if I can manage all the things. It really depends on how many dogs are out and about. So there's Mr. Maxie, ready for his morning walk. It's actually a really beautiful morning so far. I haven't gotten much out of the house. I think it's like 70 some degrees. I think it was 74. It's going to warm up a good bit. I think Max wants to go to the other side, so we'll try that. So how are you guys doing this morning? There may be more jerkiness of me. Hey, Silvana from New Jersey. I bet it's beautiful there today. There will be more pit stops, but you will see none of them. So if you guys are like, oh, this is Max's favorite thing to do, is to like have a big old time and scrape up some yard. This is our yard, so we don't scrape up other people's yards. We ensure that. So we're going to cross over to, I think we went this way last time. And when we went into the woods, but we're not going to go into the woods probably. But we have to cross the big street. So, you guys tell me how you're doing. Let's see. I just woke up, read for a little bit. Oh, it is beautiful there. I know Max is awesome. And good morning, Colleen. You know, Colleen lives down not exactly down the road, but really close to me. So that's awesome. So Cheryl is at work, so you can't ask her questions this morning, just me. But we kind of had, hopefully you guys saw the live with Stacy Cross, our health specialist, who is awesome. And I know everybody who watched it thought she was awesome too. She's so clear and concise about things. But last week, our eating was not perfect for what we wanted it to be. And let me define what that means too. We were still well within our 90% of whole food, plant-based, no oil. In fact, we only ate one thing that was even in that 10%, so it was less than 10%. And I'll see if I can, well, it's probably easier to do this and see, like, Max just pulled me around. Woo! Everybody feel like you're on a ride at Disney now? So what really happened is we ate too many dry starches. And I know that's been a talk off and on as wet starches versus dry starches. And it confused me at the beginning. And also what can be a little confusing is, well, how did we eat the starch solution and we didn't automatically just have weight fall off of us? And I think I lost half a pound, though, like Katya said yesterday in our live, I'm seeing from weighing every day, sometimes weight is like a train. I think this should do it. Yay, I did lose signal, but I'm back now. That was my fault because I'm not all the way awake. Honestly, totally my fault. So hopefully you guys can see me again. So what I was talking about was, I think there's a couple of myths that I'm discovering, but I think we were talking about, Katya said, weight is like a train. If you are working really hard and going in the right direction, it kind of pushes it. So sometimes maybe it seems like you've lost weight when you shouldn't have lost weight. And the opposite, sometimes it seems like you've gained weight when you shouldn't have gained weight. And weighing every day, I'm definitely seeing some of this like stuff that seems super magical to me. Hi, Vi. It's awesome to see you. So it's kind of interesting. So that's one thing. Then the other thing is kind of, and we've talked about Joey from the Plant Dads, who I don't even know, but I feel like I should like email him because I'm talking about him so much. Hello, tree. Hello, golf course. So he's been talking about how he felt like he was eating too much on the starch solution. Okay, one more big turnaround. And because a lot of the people who are also younger are talking about eat all you can hold, eat fourths, eat fifths. And I think there's a little bit of misunderstanding between eat all you can shove into your gullet to eat until you are comfortably full, or Dr. Lim says you feel an 8 out of 10. And so I would describe 10 at, well, actually I would describe 11 as that Thanksgiving dinner. Hi, Silvana. Yeah, I like the plant-based dads a lot too, and you guys are the ones who turned me on to them. New people bought this house. You get to know all the neighborhood non-gossip. We live in a pretty boring area. So it's about, okay, so I was saying, what is an 11, which is definitely what you shouldn't do. It would be like either the biggest meal you've ever eaten, or that Thanksgiving that you took too many helpings of whatever your favorite Thanksgiving thing is. It's when you have to lay on the couch because you can't really sit up comfortably, unbutton those pants, and you literally sit there going, why did I do this? Now, I've done that after a really nice meal at a fancy restaurant. Hey, kitty mommy, sorry. I'm glad I shared Joey's video with you. Yes, absolutely. I really appreciate it. Because really we're all in our own little corner of the world, and there's a bazillion people we need to meet. So thank you. And if you eat an 8, you feel like, I think I'm full, but I'm just going to sit here for about 15-20 minutes, decide if I'm really still hungry, and if I am, I'll eat something else. So 8 is not about judgment. Eating to an 8 is not about going hungry. Eating to an 8 is really just that it takes our stomach a while to tell our brain that we're really full. So in the end, you are eating your fill. It's just without I don't know about your brain, but my brain wants to like be all up in my business all the time and makes a lot of assumptions. So with the starch solution, because your body does burn calories, and there is that science behind it, you can't eat absolutely everything all the time. But that's just how everybody's life goes. Hi, Donna. Right? And at an 8, at a true 8, where you're waiting, and maybe you're like, half an hour later, nope, still hungry, I'm going to get a little more potato, or maybe I'm going to eat a sweet potato. Or maybe you ate to an 8 and you're like, half an hour later, I think I'll have a little tea. I think I'm done with eating now. And let your body start to really tell your brain and talk to your brain. Because we've talked about this in several lives, Cheryl and I, that I feel like our brains worked against our hunger signals for us. And I think a lot of times with the diet culture, you know, you're a fat person, you shouldn't be eating so much. These are my voices in my head to me. or just different judgments and things that your brain puts on things, instead of going, hey body, do you need nourishment? How can I help you succeed today? I know for a fact, I think about how I can help my brain succeed. So last night I made sure I got to bed at a reasonable hour, and I let myself sleep in. Speaking of sweet potatoes, I bought Hawaiian sweet potatoes for the first time, and they're amazing, says Kitty Mommy. Me too. Those Hannah yams, I think they're the same thing or pretty close. And Donna says, I'm living vicariously through you, not able to go walk yet after my surgery. Oh, I'm so glad you're enjoying it. Here, have this body of water thing. I have no idea if it's a pond or a lake. It's just next to the old golf course that I live on. This is the clubhouse coming up. This is the Smancy side of the street. So, it's easy to think, well, I have a test tomorrow, so I have to do X, Y, and Z. So we're always looking out after our brain. And I knew I had to I'm teaching a class at 4, so I need to get up. I have to go to the store. I've got to prep up the kitchen. Hawaiian have white, off-white skins and are vibrant purple on the inside. Okay, so they're not the same. That sounds delicious. Here we have Stokes purple potatoes from Stokes County, North Carolina. There is a lot of greenery here. This is one of the reasons why I wanted to move back to North Carolina. I moved from New Orleans, and I'm originally from Winston-Salem, and this is Durham, North Carolina. This is North Durham. So it gets way more rural. This is just the suburbs, and there are lots of farms and things not too far from us, which is cool. If you guys are hearing something big, that's that big giant fan over by the green. And this is where the water runoff goes. Max loves to come visit over here. Yeah, Donna, I know you're in Slidell, I think, if I remember correctly. Oh, I'm not showing you the part that's kind of cool. It did rain, so there is some coolness. They actually dug all this up a year or two ago and put all those cool rocks in, which was kind of awesome. And I loved my time in New Orleans. I lived there for 12 years. And Kitty Mommy says, I don't care for Stokes potatoes, tend to be dry. Hawaiian are moist and very sweet. I'm not sure there's a potato I don't like. If we're going to be just really honest about all this, potatoes are delicious, sweet and regular. And Cheryl had a good point, because this was the first time I'd found Hannah yams. Whole Foods says they have them all the time, but they don't here. They're very seasonal. And I enjoyed having it for a meal. I could see why Chef AJ likes to have one every day. It's kind of this really nice texture. And Cheryl commented that it's almost as if a regular potato and a sweet potato had a baby. Oh, I just lost that comment. Let's stop for a second. Get that back. One anti-venom is here. Yay. And I don't think I realized you were in New Orleans as well. Yeah, Cheryl had to go into the office. She works for a company called Novelist. And if you are a library goer, your library probably has Novelist software. And actually my friend and his friend originally wrote it a bazillion years ago and sold it. But if you like this novel, you'll like that novel. But it's grown up, and now a lot of the newsletters you get from libraries are actually from that software. It's very cool. Where are you wanting to go, boo-boo? I love Hannah yams. They do pair well with broccoli, like Chef HH. How do I do my mashed potatoes? Where do you want to go? Okay, he's like, hard no, lady. We're going to this. I don't know why he wants to be right here, but okay. Stubborn mommy, stubborn puppy. So when I make mashed potatoes, I boil my potatoes, and that could be on the stove or in the Instant Pot. I think I usually cut them up and do them in the Instant Pot on high pressure for about 10 minutes. Yeah, there's a car, Bubba. Let's get on the proper side of the road. Okay, then I drain them, but I save some of the cooking liquid, that starchy water. And then what I do is I mash them up really good. I may use some of the starchy water. I may use some non-dairy milk as well. Usually, if I'm in a pinch and I don't have any non-dairy milk in the fridge, I'll take some oats and water and blend it up in a blender and strain it through a fine mesh strainer. So we're talking like 1 cup of oats to 3 to 4 cups of water. The less water, the creamier and thicker your milk will be. So that's up to you. Because I find when you put the milk in to the hot potatoes, and I'll get back to these comments, then it's gonna kind of evaporate a little bit and thicken. And depending on the potatoes and how you cook them, so like it can take a little more. So I don't really have a number of that. These days, my favorite way, because you can add anything. You could add fresh herbs. You could add, sometimes I'll add unsweetened plain vegan yogurt to get that sour cream potato mouthfeel without all of those things. And the one yogurt that I found store-bought that's compliant, again, just a patch of woods between houses. Oh, Donna loves to add soy yogurt to mashed potatoes too. And we've been really big on it because I do a lot with the yogurt. And we are probably today or tomorrow fixing my soy milk maker so I can make more things. So I have some Penzeys roasted garlic powder. You could, of course, use real roasted garlic, make roasted garlic mashed potatoes. But usually I'm making mashed potatoes because I need comfort and I'm not really willing to put in a lot of work. But sometimes I'll put rosemary powder in there. You could do snipped fresh herbs from the garden. You could, let's see what else we'll do. I usually put a little nutritional yeast in there to give it a little bit of extra flavor. Lecithin, like sunflower lecithin, often gives things a butter flavor, so you could try that as well. You know, if you wanted it to taste a little buttery, or even add just a little bit of corn in there would work really well too. I'm trying to think of what else that I sometimes use. Max is kicking up some leaves. I think some fresh snipped herbs, and okay, that sounds really bougie, right? But if you go in your garden and you take some scissors and you cut them into small pieces in there, like you could do like a whole chimichurri style or pesto style mashed potatoes. So there really is no end to the lusciousness that is mashed potatoes. But to me, one of the most important parts is making sure, one anti-venom corn puree would work in a mash to add buttery flavor. What I would do with the corn mash too is I would blend it really well so that you just don't get little corn skins. So I might even blend it, and I'd have to see how well it blended. If I was putting it in a really smooth mash, I might put it through a fine mesh strainer just to kind of, you know, not have big pieces of corn skin sticking out of there. So I'm trying to think of what else we could do. I was thinking, because I have some food grade charcoal from something I did a little while ago is that I might make some Halloween mashed potatoes, because I was actually at a coffee shop and they had a charcoal lavender latte. So that made me remember that I have a bunch of charcoal. And I love Halloween, so it's kind of natural. Somebody's getting work done on their yard, which is pretty awesome. And let me go look back on the other questions, because I think there were some other things. And let's see. Oh, and one Anti-Venom says Max looks like her sassafras. Only Sassy has slightly darker spots with one over her eyed ear. He has like this 8 on his butt. And what's really funny is he's so hairy now, but when we first got him, good morning. When we first got him, he was pretty much hairless. He was a little hairless dog, and now he's hot. He's like, summer sucks. Ooh, some grilled onions, chopped. Ooh, that would be good. I'm trying to remember. I know there was a restaurant, a Mexican restaurant I went to in New Orleans that had those. Okay, we're being turned around in a circle. We're at Max's Will. But those would be really good, probably chopped up or pureed in. And you could puree pretty much anything you wanted. Or I like to use the mashed potatoes as the base of my plate, make a big hole, the gravy hole. Good morning, Jody. It's awesome to see you. It was nice chatting with you on Facebook last night. I'm out here solo taking a walk with Max. And there's a garbage truck, I think, so that's loud. Sorry about that. It's coming our way, so eventually it will pass us, I think. And so this is at the edge of the Eno State Park. And if there are no cars, we might go a little bit on the park, like we did the other day. Okay, so what was I talking about? Mashed potatoes. So I like to make a bed of that, and I did this the other day with some leftovers. I'm going to let this guy get past. It's a big truck. Max doesn't love it. He doesn't love that big truck. All right. So Cheryl's at work today. She does help desk and tech support and some other things for Novelist. And that's why it's just me, and why sometimes Max will spin me around. I have the camera and Max. I thought I would do this as an experiment and see. Because Max is also dog reactive, so I'm hoping we're coming at a time we're not going to see a lot of dogs. But if you live in my neighborhood and you're like, what is this little middle-aged lady doing in my yard? Chances are good that I'm taking Max back there so dogs can pass us. Hi, Tanya. Okay, the air was smelling really nice before the truck, but it'll be nice again soon. So hopefully, because it's Thursday, it won't be too crowded at the Eno yet at the entrance. But you get a lot of the Eno, a lot of forest bathing, just walking here on Continental. It has a different name on my side of the street, but there's just something magical and fairy-like and all of that. So we talked about mashed potatoes. You guys have some other questions? Because if not, I was going to we talked about what full means. And I think, and even Happy Herbivore talked a long time ago, has a blog post about how she was confused on the starch solution and would eat massive amounts of food. And I think Chef AJ addresses a lot of that really well in her ultimate weight loss stuff. Even though it's different than the starch solution, it's kind of built on the starch solution with her own flourishes. More vegetables, more concerned with maybe trigger foods and things like that. And I would say, so, you know, the whole calorie density thing is a really good way to start looking at life. And when we were talking with Katya tracks her macros and calories, and there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you do and that's what you want to do. Same thing. I'm not trying to make everyone be on the starch solution, right? Maybe you're on team Dr. Esselstyn or Furman or Greger or Ornish. So this community is about us all getting healthier in the way that works best for us. And for some of us, it means losing weight, like me. Ooh. And some of you, it might mean gaining weight. All right, come on. Come up, chatty chat. There we go. Rebecca said, I just made soy yogurt in the Instant Pot for the first time. It didn't turn out right, but it's still really, it went away. Almost like cottage cheese taste, which is funny because I haven't had that in so long. Oh, and Tanya's been loving Plant Pure Comfort Foods book. That's Kim's book. And Donna says, I love hearing you give yourself grace. That's something I struggle with. Oh, honey, I'm on the struggle bus with you. I think by the time I'm talking to you, I have stopped beating myself up. Oh, and when Auntie Venom said, did you hear the Instant Pot went bankrupt? It's more of a reorganization bankrupt, meaning they want money to help get themselves. I think they're just not paying their creditors. So the Instant Pot's going to be around for a long time. I haven't looked recently to see if they're still selling parts or everything, but I did see there was a new model out probably about the time they filed for bankruptcy. Maybe they'll just stop making 70 new models. I'm annoyed. Okay, here's Kathy's rant for the day. Appliance makers, make it easy for me to sell your products and don't make 70,000 models to confuse everybody and make it really, really hard. So I feel like now Ninja's done that. And Donna says that we're hopefully no longer on the Thelma and Louise struggle bus. We're not. I mean, we're humans. Okay, Max is like, he's team, let's go into the forest. So we'll see. Why in the world would I not want to go in the forest with him? I'm by myself holding a camera, and if dogs come, I just have to run in off the paths where I could step on a copperhead, which would blend in with all this beautiful undergrowth. That is why. So we'll see how far I feel comfortable, but it is beautiful. Look, guys, that's all the way up. See if you can see where the sun's coming. Silvana says, do I experience any knee pain or back pain? Oh, hey, Rebecca. Yeah, and Tanya, absolutely. And I hope I'm saying your name right, Tanya. If it's something fancier, please let me know and spell it phonetically. I'll see if I can get it right. Yeah, the Ninja Creamy coming out with the Breeze and then the 5-button Breeze. Yeah, one anti-venom. It's the copperheads. Exactly. And when I was walking with my friend Faith on Tuesday, we saw a lot of them. It was a pleasant walk with Faith. It was unpleasant in that I saw more roadkill on that 3-mile walk than I've seen all summer long, maybe even in the past year. There were a couple of copperheads. It seemed like a squirrel suicide. Hey, Linda. I think it was Linda. Oh, okay. Because now I may miss comments because I got to pay better attention. Ellen. Sorry, Ellen. So if I miss your name or anything like that, I am literally holding the pupper, looking for copperheads, and filming. Not one to shy from overachieving. But here's the thing with struggle, and this is one of the reasons Cheryl and I are doing lives and stuff and talking about our journey. And I think kind of what Joey was saying, he wasn't super thrilled with what we see visibly and in the weight loss community, the whole food plant-based community. We see people doing really well. Ellen said, I woke up today craving waffles. I do have, I have one on healthy slow cooking, I think. I have a couple. Now, and here's the thing, I can't look at the recipes right now. Some of them may contain some oil, and this is a good time to talk about. If you see a recipe, mine or somebody else's, just use aquafaba. Just use some extra applesauce. Just let the mixture be a little thicker. The one thing, if you're doing waffles, and I get a little nervous because even my oil-free waffles in the past, I have oiled the waffle maker. Is that without oil in the batter or oil on the little nooks and crannies, it can stick. So it's very important that you cook it long enough and that you heat it up all the way before you put the mixture in. And I need to practice so that I can show you guys that. But I have to tell you, I'm very impatient about waffles. And even when I've done waffles for books and for like brands and stuff, my first waffle is broken in half because I'm looking at it. So I need to find a good way to manage myself so I can tell you. Oh no, Tanya said she sold her slow cooker. Okay. Anything you make in a slow cooker, you can make on the stovetop or the Instant Pot with a few. Oh, Ellen, great. Cook them until they stop steaming. I'm very impatient. Except Max wants to go side to side. Okay. Give you something pretty to see. Okay, let me go back. There were a lot of questions there. And everything goes away. A like happy. Tanya, not Tanya, Tanya. Okay, got it. Oh, are you okay? Okay. Hey, buddy.
I am going to take a right where you're standing.
Okay, let's come back.
Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. Have a good rest of your walk. Thank you. Yeah, you could use a Dutch oven for sure. All right, let's try to go back again. I heard the lady slip, and this is where we were the other day when someone said there was a copperhead. And I will say, there are some, if you have an Instant Pot, Tanya, there are some things you can make on the slow cooker setting. So everybody listen. There are certain things you do not want to make on your slow cooker setting in your Instant Pot. One of those, dried beans. I don't know why. It does not work well. I'll just convert to time. Okay, time and temp. We can talk about that a little bit too. So remind me if I forget, since I don't have my cheat sheet of comments. But if you have an Instant Pot, if it's like a vegetable soup, chickpea curry that you're using canned chickpeas or already cooked chickpeas, you're golden. Let's go down this way, bud. That one trail is really nice, but it's also very narrow. So without Cheryl to navigate one of these things I have no hands. So you guys, we took you this way before, but isn't that pretty? if you're doing it in a Dutch oven, or there's actually, if you have a Breville oven air, like your big air fryer toaster oven, that has a slow cooker setting on it too. I haven't really used it, but you could use a Dutch oven. You're probably going to do like 350. But remember, one of the reasons we use the slow cooker is to slow down the cooking of things so that I can have something cooking for 8 hours while I'm out of the house. And I can tell you, even though today it's nice, I do not want to have my oven on for 8 hours today. So if I was making a soup and I needed to use the stove, I would use the stove top. Usually with slow cooker recipes, there's extra liquid because there's some evaporation. Most, and I mean it, most, not all, slow cookers don't have like evaporation proof lids. Some do, those travel slow cookers. And those you're going to even need to have less water than other ones. I noticed that a lot when I had testers for my first slow cooker book. And so if you have a slow cooker now, which I know you don't, Tanya, is that you may notice if you get a new one, things cook hotter, especially if you have your mother's. Food laws change, more things with meat have changed, and you're like, that doesn't apply to me. No, but the people who buy slow cookers and the people who make slow cookers are dealing with meat and things like that. So temperatures went up for meat safety and things like that. But if you can email me with a recipe you want to make, especially if it's a slow cooker one, that would be real easy for me to tell you. So you guys, my email, if you haven't heard it 80,000 times, is kathyhester@gmail.com. And that is my main email. So even if I gave you my fancy one, that's where it comes. So it sounds like I'm giving you this fake email, but I promise it's my real email. I do love slow cooker, and in fact, I'm going to be doing some slow cooker classes in Kathy's Cooking Club, which I'm excited about. That is not tonight. Tonight is potato meal plan, and I'm trying to decide what I'm going to do for that. When Auntie Venom says, I have a slow cooker cookbook, I found that you can cook almost any of it in the Instant Pot and look up at the cooking time of the ingredients. Exactly. Typically with the Instant Pot, you want to set it at the time of the longest cooking ingredient. Usually meaning, if you put dried beans in there, you have to cook it long enough for the dried beans or for the grain. Max is just literally smelling a tree. Are you tired, buddy? Oh, let's see if I can get him. There we go. This is what Max is like. There's a little breeze here. Are you ready to head home? You kind of look like you're ready to head home. You look hot. Kitty Mommy says, jumping back to Rebecca's comment, when making soy yogurt, thank you. You need to use the soy milk that has no additives. Trader Joe's works, West Soy, there's a whole bunch. Okay, yeah, that's right. It was like cottage cheese. So I think it was, so I've had that happen too, because if you go to plantbasedinstantpot.com, I have a plant-based, I have a plant-based, I have an Instant Pot recipe. Oh, and thinking, yeah, I haven't watched that yet, but evidently he used my cookbook to do that, which I'm not super appreciative. He used a cookbook from 2010 to use in an Instant Pot, which didn't come along till a lot later. And he never talked to me. I wish he did, and I could have given him some tips. I have an article on plantbasedinstantpot.com about using the slow cooker function. This is uphill now. Can you guys tell? Slow cooker function on your Instant Pot. But with the yogurt, if you go to plantbasedinstantpot.com, look up yogurt. I also was making it at that time with Ripple or pea protein milk. Oh, Gina, yes, I have tried zucchini flowers. They're delicious. And I'm hoping I might still get a couple because I'm still getting some flowers off and on. I get almost no zucchini where I am. I think it's just me, honestly, because I buy zucchini at the farmer's market. Okay, so when I used Ripple or pea protein milk, sometimes it would come out splotchy, kind of cottage cheesy. So, let's see. All right, I'm trying to get the messages again. So what I've done before is I've strained it, like for Greek yogurt, and blended it a little bit. And that helped a little bit too. In a pinch if you've already made it. All right. Max, let me get the comments, baby. Oh, okay, it was painful to watch. I didn't watch it because I just felt a little weird because I know that's a bad way to go for the recipes. So someone told me about it and I'm like, I don't know that I want to see this because this is not going to be nice. And it's certainly not going to be the best way to make the recipes. And if you don't have the vegan slow cooker cookbook, my very first cookbook, get the revised vegan slow cooker cookbook. I'm going to try and use it in a pumpkin bread. That'll be awesome. Okay, it wasn't a... Tanya says it wasn't a bad review. That's good. I think with all the changes going on, and like, we were talking struggle bus a little while ago. I didn't think I needed any extra struggle bus fuel. That mine is fueled just fine. But yeah, so also talking about slow cookers, try going to your local thrift store. You can probably get one for $10. In fact, online, you might even be able to get one on a sale. Check, as always, with any appliances, go to Amazon.com on your computer. Tanya says he's a very positive person, not a bad review. Okay, good. And I know that sounds silly, and I would be okay, and I would just take it if it was a bad review and he didn't like my cookbook. I can't tell if we're going the right way or not. This is my life. Donna says my favoriteest Kathy recipe is the Thanksgiving dinner for two in the slow cooker. And it's from Vegan Slow Cooking for Two. And I'm pretty sure it's on healthyslowcooking.com too. And it's layered in your 2-quart slow cooker so that you and a friend can have the many flavors of Thanksgiving without all the work. And on my YouTube channel, from a couple of years ago, I don't know if it was 2020 or 2021, I have a recipe about how to make Thanksgiving in an hour. It's mostly in a sheet pan. Very similar, easy. Okay, let's see what else. What else am I missing? I wish it was easier to see. And Tanya says not silly at all. I feel the same. Oh, thanks, One Anti-Venom. It's okay. It's okay if you have some of my cookbooks and you don't like them all. They're, everything isn't for everybody. And I'm on team do what's best for you. But everything except for my very first, the Vegan Slow Cooker in the red cover, has oil-free options. Why doesn't that first cookbook have it? My publisher took them out. They wouldn't let me have them. Do I feel some anger about that? Yes, I do. But because even though I wasn't eating whole food, plant-based, no oil then, if you had come to my house, I would have made you whole food, plant-based, no oil food. I'm trying to see if that is a dog. And I still can't exactly tell if that's a dog. So we'll go a little further before I have to walk into the middle of piles of leaves. don't be a dog. This is the drama part of the live, you guys. Oh, I don't see a dog. It's Cheryl. Oh, good. Alrighty then. Cheryl must have saw that I was on live and came. And Donna says, yikes, be careful. Yeah, so many people are anti-oil. I know. So it's like, it's not hard to put oil in. And in the beginning, I even said, hey, just like my gluten-free Instant Pot cookbook, everybody's afraid of it. I even had some testers that were like, I don't like gluten-free. I'm like, you've been eating gluten-free all the time you've been testing for me, except for a few things. It's not that big a deal. But people get these things in their head. So in my gluten-free cookbook, in the foreword, I say, hey, not gluten-free? You can use regular flour in any of the recipes. Just like in my Ultimate Vegan Cookbook for your Instant Pot. And I do not get to pick these names. These hard, long names. Then I said, and if you're gluten-free, you can use gluten-free flour. I'm pro-choice on all the people eating what they want to eat. And now I feel like the drama is gone. And I think I'm going to make Cheryl hold this and talk to you. Because I feel like I've been telling all the stories. Is that Cheryl? Is that Mommy? Max is very excited. And
Glad your cat is here.
no, you walking with us some more. Come on. I couldn't see who you were at all.
I need to be home by 11:30.
Okay. Pin message. Here she comes to save the day. I know. I was like, basically we were having the drama portion of the live where I might have to go into the woods. You guys, you have to see this. Oh, there's another pupper over there. Max wants to get in the car. And he can.
You want to go home?
He did get some pep in his step.
You want to go home?
And Tanya says, hi, Cheryl.
Hi.
Do you want to say hi to anybody?
Hi, everybody. He's
Oh.
ready to go home.
He is ready to go home. He was looking a little rough before. Okay, let me see. All right, let me finish up the chats, and then
Are you going to walk or are you going to ride?
I guess I can walk home, huh? How many miles? I don't have very many miles on stuff, I don't think. Yeah, I've only walked. Donna says, hi, Cheryl.
Hi, Donna.
Do you want to talk about anything about your week?
I'm feeling much better this week. This Gail was my friend this morning, and I feel like I'm back on track after feeling a little not so great about pushing the limits last week and only losing a half a pound. This week already I'm down 2 pounds from what I was.
Oh, wow.
So hopefully it sticks, but you know, it's like a stair step, so who knows.
Well, and Katja was saying it's kind of like a train that if you speed up in one direction, it's going to keep pushing you. So that maybe if you did something or ate too much, you might not see it now, but you'll see it later.
Yeah.
It was very interesting, different way to look at it.
Yeah.
And Jody says, yes, Cheryl, and lots of emojis.
But my clothes are baggy. And
Her clothes are so baggy. Let me see if I can come back here and give you a full body of Cheryl. And don't play with them. They can't see them if you keep touching. See, all her clothes are too big. And Tanya says, if I can just, unpin the message. Love to hear more about your thoughts on food influencers that you touched on earlier. Okay, and let me get to the live chat. You know, I think the reason we're more relatable, I feel like Cheryl's getting a mugshot here, I'll give you the forest. Because that's not fair. Is that we've always been real. I've always been real in my videos because people go, oh, you're a cookbook author. Everything you make is perfect. And it's just not true, right? Things go bad for everyone. It's just, it's the nature of cooking. Let's see. I need a sub for white whole wheat or whole wheat pastry flour. Can't get it here. I know whole wheat is too heavy. What I do for that is I take whole wheat flour and I put it in the food processor, or you could put it in a dry blender, or if you have a wheat grinder, which you probably don't. But usually I use my food processor and I just grind it until it's fine, because that's all it is. It's a white wheat flour that's ground fine. So it's a softer flour than like red wheat berries. That matters less than the fineness of it, because the reason it's pastry flour is it's used in pastries and things like that. And Donna says, you're right, I don't see myself in those perfection-minded ways of thinking. It's just, you can think that way, but eventually things aren't going to be perfect. And if you're anywhere like me, yeah, a Vitamix dry grains container would be perfect to do that with. And just get it as small as you can, and that should help. Also, make sure you fluff the flour up some before you take a measure of it, because as it does that. Okay, so Cheryl's going, so I guess I'm still walking back. I know, but I should. I just have to go to the store. What time is it?
It's 11:05, and I have a meeting, so I need to go.
Okay, I'm going to turn around and walk back, and then, because I have to go to the store and get ready for my 4 o'clock class. No, if you fluff up the flour, so once you grind it, it is going to take the air space out of it. And just like when you open up an old bag of, yeah, you could totally use the regular Vitamix. I don't know why I like using the food processor, but I like to use it better. So that's why I do it. But so what happens, and this is like if you've ever gotten an old bag of flour, or maybe you got a bag of flour and let it sit in your pantry for a year or two before you opened it, it's like packed in there. There is no air space. So you take a spoon or a scoop and you kind of mix some air in there, and then you measure it out. Oh, I was going to do half all-purpose and half whole wheat. You could do that too, totally. There's so many different ways you could substitute for it. But one of the things, I forget which book I did it in. I'm Southern, so we eat biscuits and gravy. And I do have a whole food, plant-based version of that, but I haven't sent the biscuits out into the world. Do I bake or cook beets? I've done them both ways. But with the biscuits, so people who don't live in the South come to the South and get Lily White brand flour. And it's a biscuit flour. It's a Southern flour. It is the finest, most powdery, talcumy kind of flour you will ever find. And there's Cheryl going with Max. Max is happy. Max is like, you walk too much. You take too long. He just wants to come out and do his business sometimes. So Lily White flour is very finely ground. I've never seen anything as finely ground. Maybe the pasta flour. It's just a very special blend. Yeah, like cake and pastry flour. Oh, grits and grillades. I don't have a chickpea and grits, which is in that Vegan Slow Cooker for 2 book, but I don't have grillades. I'll have to check that out. Yeah, and so from growing up with that as a biscuit flour, and biscuits are pretty much just like regular biscuits are butter and that flour and a little bit of salt and some baking powder. So I have made them, though I haven't put them out in the world. I've made them with, I think I even used a gluten-free blend, and yogurt and baking powder. Okay, they're not gonna, especially if they're gluten-free, They're not gonna rot. Ooh, portobello mushroom strips. I think that sounds good. What's hard sometimes is I was vegetarian in New Orleans, so I don't know all the meaty flavors. But I do have an andouille sausage, so I can do my research on grillades too. And Donna, send me any other recipes you might think would be good to veganize. I have some jambalayas. I have a great, ridiculously easy red beans and rice recipe, which, you know, obviously they're far from traditional. But Tanya says, what's a grillade? I'm from Ontario. It's kind of like meat. It's grits, which is just like polenta. So everyone who goes, ew, grits. If you eat polenta, you like grits too, right? Because traditionally grits are white corn that are coarsely ground. Polenta is yellow corn that is coarsely ground. And I used to work at Bluebird Cafe in New Orleans that had yellow grits, and people would always be like, what do they taste like? I don't know about them. Yeah, polenta, it's the same texture. And it's really nice. I mean, I think it's just kind of an interesting thing. And grits like polenta, so if you have leftovers, you can then put them in a baking dish and they will solidify, which you might be like, But then you cut them up and you can grill them or pan fry them. And by pan fry, I mean in your nonstick skillet with no oil. You know that. But it gets a nice crust on it. And even with grits, a lot of times I'll serve it then with sauteed vegetables and salsa or tomato sauce. Girls raised in the South, I like that. I grew up on Quaker instant grits. Like, there's a flavor packet. I can't even imagine the amount of ingredients used in it. But so for biscuits and gravy, you have this fluffy, nice biscuit. The one that I made with yogurt, what happens, and I haven't really worked hard to fix this, and that's what I need to do this winter so that I can put the recipe out. Ooh, spinach or kale and mushrooms, that would be delicious too, right? And if you're doing something like faux shrimp and grits, which I made with chickpeas and the flavorings and things like that, as long as you're using good seasonings, that's really going to be the trick. I'm going to be doing a class coming up this month for the women over 40 with Tobias, and I'm going to be doing some powders and sauces. We ate grilled grits growing up for breakfast, drizzled with maple syrup. Yeah, some people eat sweet grits. I don't understand you people. No, I'm teasing. I'm glad that you eat it that way. It's very hard for me to eat it sweet. But I have had some sweet polenta that's been okay. Oh, good. I'm glad that this is helping you get through your stationary bike. I feel like I'm a little boring too, but you guys are helping me get my walk in because my brain wants to go get all the things done. Yeah, balsamic glaze. But okay, so these flour, unsweetened plain vegan yogurt, and baking powder biscuits. The tops look like the desert with all the cracks in them, right? And so they're not very appealing as a biscuit. However, you take that, you split it open, and what I usually do is I have a gravy mix, and I think the gravy mix is on healthyslowcooking.com, but it's basically rolled oats pulsed into flour with a little nutritional yeast and probably some garlic powder, I think that's probably about it. So I take that mixture, or you could take whatever flour you want to use, lightly toast it over medium heat, then add in some non-dairy milk. You could like go fancy, saute some mushrooms first, then add your flour or gravy mix, toast a little bit, and then add non-dairy milk. Everything before is like medium heat. When you add your non-dairy milk, you're going to turn the heat up medium high to high depending on your patience level, right? And use a whisk the whole time and keep whisking. It's either going to seem like this is never going to get any thicker, so turn your heat up, or oh my goodness, it's already too thick, turn your heat down and add some more liquid. And I always say, like any of these sauces, I have a creamy pasta sauce, I have a dried cheese sauce. All of these sauces and gravies, it's a dance between it's not thick enough and it's too thin, too thin, too thick. So you just kind of take it off the heat when it's just thinner than what you want it to be, because it's still hot and it's still going to cook. And that's how you can make some gravy to go on your biscuits. In the South, where I live, we make black pepper gravy. And all that means is it's a white gravy. It's white from the lily white flour and the white soy milk that we will use. And you liberally put black pepper. Cheryl can't hang with that. She feels that black pepper is super spicy. So I put enough for a little color, and then I take the fresh pepper grinder and grind tons on my biscuits. Now, how would any of that fit into the starch solution? Well, it uses flours. Now, the starch solution isn't anti-flour, but that's where we get into the dry carbs versus wet carbs a little bit. Even though we're putting it in some different things, those biscuits, they're dry carbs. They're higher calorie density. Because think of how many wheat berries you could eat versus how many biscuits you could eat, right? Probably about the same amount. Only the wheat berries are going to have a lower calorie density. And with gravy and sauces, I feel like in the starch solution you have kind of a sauce allowance. It's best to have condiments with no oil, but if there's a tiny bit of oil in a condiment you're using a tiny bit of, I don't think anybody's blinking any eyes. However, if that's keeping weight on you and you're wanting to take it off, that would be one of the first places you would look. Let's get you some views over here. They got the fountain on now. So gravy I don't feel bad about. So like I made vegan veggie loaf. Actually I made pecan loaf. So there were some nuts in there. It's our first recipe I made with nuts since we've been on the starch solution. And I made mashed potatoes. And I just made what I call chickeny gravy, which just means I have a golden gravy recipe, which is in the Outrageous Oatmeals. I think it's on Healthy Slow Cooking too. And it's a dry mix. Cheryl's always wanting to buy a dry mix. I think Carlene says, I think Jeff Novak says for oil, dang it. Here we go. Less than 10% of calories. That is correct. So again, we're talking about tiny amounts. That's why when we say we go to this bibimbap place and I do get a teriyaki sauce, but they're definitely light on the teriyaki sauce. I feel like I get a tablespoon of sauce. And the broccoli may have been sauteed with a little oil. It's not super glistening, but chances are good it was roasted with it. But there, one of the things I like is that you get half a bowl of purple rice before anything ever happens. And then I add double broccoli, carrots. They have vegan kimchi, which I'm so excited about. We get corn, double kale, cucumbers. I think I said corn like 17 times. I can't think of what else. We get some other things and we get a little tofu on there. And sometimes Cheryl will get it without the tofu and just get extra. Oh, we get potatoes. And so historically, every time we go there, it doesn't affect our scale as if we went out somewhere else. So I feel like it's pretty darn close. And I'm not telling you, if you are, I am 100% no oil in my condiments, I support you. And how could we do this? And, oh, gonna get this back. There we go. Carly says, I don't agonize over tiny infractions no matter what they are. And I think that's what we're doing too, honestly. And what I've said about that before is if you're on Dr. Esselstein's program so that you don't have a triple heart bypass or some kind of open heart surgery, don't do what I'm doing. Do what he tells you to do. However, if you're just on the Starch Solution or Dr. Campbell or Forks Over Knives and you're not going to drop dead from, if there might be some oil in something, then yeah, don't stress about it. I will say it's kind of funny because in our talks with Dr. McDougall, and I think we have the alumni from the 12-day program have a Q&A with him this afternoon, is that he's always like, don't stress. So I was saying, I really hate taking my blood pressure. Like, really hate it. To the point that after I've tried to take it for 5 times, my whole day is ruined. I was really taking it with me. And so I was trying to ask him, okay, obviously I'm stupid. How do I take my blood pressure for it to come out right? Because it was doing all the things. And literally I could take 5 blood pressures and they would be completely different. And I think it's me, and I think it's that I hate taking my blood pressure. And I was on some blood pressure medicine, but I was taking my blood pressure for a couple of months and it was pretty fine. And I went off my HTZ, right? HTC, whatever the little water pill was. And I haven't noticed any difference, honestly. But so I had mentioned it to him. And, let me do this. Carlene says things I stick to are 100% no coconut, no palm oil, no dairy. And what we stick to is all vegan is the first thing. Whole food plant-based is the second. So we're not going to say we're never going to have a piece of vegan cake, ever. But that's going to be like a rare treat. And by rare, we don't have a number yet. But I'm thinking more like 4 times a year. And we'll renegotiate that, something like that. Oil and condiments. Now, I'm not going to put olive oil on my salad. So we don't really put any refined oils the way they are. And we are, I'm trying to think of, but like if we go to a salad place, let's say someone was telling me at Kava didn't have oil in their hummus. And so we might go there, but there's tahini, right? And we would probably make an exception for that, especially if we were on the road. That's such a better choice than anything else. And let's see, come back here. Tanya says, I'm 47, healthy, no meds. I do my best just because I want to keep it that way and live healthy and go the years. I eat a lot of whole food plant-based. Why does it got to go so fast? And don't use much oil, but I do for me as long as vegan. And see, that's okay. Because like, I'm not here to tell you to eat the way I eat. Yeah, I'm not opposed to treat foods and higher fat. It's just not my main source of food. And everyone has to really decide that for themselves. And so some of what's happening for me is, as we're doing the starch solution, because Cheryl and I are trying to release our weight, is that we are experimenting with things. And like Stacy said, you know, when you get closer to a goal weight, you may have to tweak things up. We're not that close, so we don't have that much to worry about. Good morning. How are you today? Good. Enjoying this beautiful day. You have a great weekend. Sorry, neighborly visit. I didn't want to just sit there and be like blah 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 in front of her. But I think it's just important to see how you feel. I think a lot of people are worried if they go on the starch solution or follow Dr. Greger or Forks Over Knives, they're going to feel deprived. And I think if your health allows you 5 to 10% wiggle room, I think that you can manage that. And so far, again, I'll tell you when it happens because I full on expect it to. So far, any of our 10% foods haven't really captured us and said like, okay, you must have this all the time. The one thing we struggle with a little bit is crunchy. But I made some oil-free frozen fries that we can pop in the air fryer. Taken some baby potatoes, cut them in half after I cooked them, smashed them, air fried them, put those on the freezer so that we can pull them out and get them extra crispy. Is a really good way to satisfy that. Last week we had the Incredible chips twice, which was too much. And why do I say too? Is it too much for you? I don't know. But it really slowed our weight loss down. We did that. There were a couple other things we did. And all were within the program, but things that we had designated for right now as once a week foods, we ate more than once a week. And one of the reasons we're weighing ourselves every day is so that we can kind of understand some of these changes. And again, disclaimer, if weighing yourself triggers you, don't do it. I am never telling you to do everything we do. We are individuals, and that's why I'm kind of showing you our journey so you can see what it looks like for us. But you know what? You might be able to have oat queso and crunchy chips every day and still lose weight. I don't know. Your body could be different than mine. But in general, I'm telling you, and so is Cheryl, what we've learned in Dr. McDougall's program doing the starch solution. And there are a bazillion ways. Even Dr. McDougall says, can you lose weight on keto? Of course you can. It's just not very healthy. And most of the people that I see in the whole food plant-based community are adjacent. Kind of like Tanya, I think, I don't know how you identify, if you identify as a vegan or whole food plant-based, I would call you adjacent, at least. And you're trying to actually eat a little more healthy, improve your life a little bit, and while taking off pounds can help diseases. So like with fatty liver, and Carlene says I only weigh myself once a month. My clothes talk, and I found a great plant-based doctor who is supportive. And we talked about that some crossing the big street. I know those who are in the city are like, that's not a big street. No, but people go like 70 miles an hour. So it's the street you have to pay attention in. And for me right now, the clothes thing is hard. And let's see, can I see that? Tanya says, I stay off the scale. Nope. All right, I'm coming over here. I stay off the scale and focus on just trying to be healthy. But that's because of the history of eating disorder, absolutely. And my friend Katja, who's a bodybuilder, has body dysmorphia and had an eating disorder. And so I completely understand. And I would also tell you, like, it's triggered me to be cranky because I weighed more than I thought, you know? But it hasn't triggered me into like, well, I'm not going to eat today, or I'm only going to eat soup for this week. So if you find yourself having these disordered thoughts because you're weighing yourself, don't do it, right? And there's no right or wrong, and there's no one size fits all. I wish there was. Man, I would love, here, I think this is pretty. I would love just someone to print me out a sheet. I do that thing. I say that now, but you know I would rebel against that. But it would be nice, and we're all different. And you know what? Even at our healthiest weight, we're all going to look different. And Terry said, I saw a YouTube video making popcorn salt, and the ingredient was dehydrated, I think it said lime and lactic acid. I love lactic acid. We've been using pickle juice. So someone from Australia is like, what's pickle juice? Ooh, can you guys see that? Let me see if I can. Oh, there you go. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? That's spider web. All right, back to the chats. And Tanya says, I don't listen to any thoughts anymore. I dismiss them. When I talk to a loved one like that. And you know what? I am the worst about being mean to myself. I'm nicer when you guys are around. Because, you know, you don't want to show your behind to people you like. And someone says, oh, stop. Not irritated, you guys. I put up the comments and then I'm scrolling up and I see it for like 3 seconds. I love adding roasted red pepper to my traditional mac and cheese. That's yummy. And let's see. It's saying work in progress, and we're all a work in progress, y'all. And here's the thing. When I lose whatever amount of weight that makes my liver numbers go up, that's a huge success. Chances, I'm sorry, it's too hard. It's too high for me to just, let's see if you can see it there. You can't. Because I know I'm shaking. That's got to be annoying. And all the big trucks are coming by. But we've got to celebrate the victories that we have now. And the little things today. Like today, I took a walk. Oh, Carly says lactic acid's a game changer. I'm currently making quark. Oh, yum. Essential to add lactic acid to the taste. I'm actually bringing Chef AJ some because I'm going to see her on Saturday. Y'all, we're renting an electric car and driving to Chef AJ's house on Saturday. It sounds so crazy. But we have been friends for a long time. We just haven't been go to each other's houses. Tanya, that was a win for me. Tanya, I'm so sorry. I'm going to get it right, though. My last blood work was so good. I was so happy and felt on the right path. And that's a big thing. Like, you know, and I'll let Cheryl talk more about this because she talked a little. She went to the doctor who wasn't as excited or didn't have exactly the same main mindset as Dr. Lim about some of the medicines. And so just you know, even when things go well, you might have some mental things you have to think about. But anyhow, I have to go to the store. I'll see if I can. I'm trying to learn to look at the camera. Supposedly I'm supposed to look there. And we'll find out if I'm doing this right, because it's a very different way of doing things. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. And I just had a great time. I'm gonna try and switch hands and see where my X is. So it was great talking to you. If you have some more questions for me, I'll check back in the comments of the YouTube video. Also, you can email me at kathyhester@gmail.com. And if you're in Kathy's Cooking Club, I'll see you tonight. If not, if you email me soon enough, you can get into Kathy's cooking class. It's good to see you, Carlene, and Tanya, and Donna, and Jody, and all the rest of you wonderful, wonderful people. Have a good day, and I will talk to you guys very, very soon.